All right, so like I said, divorce in midlife is kind of common. You're more likely to get divorced in midlife if you were already divorced before. So if you got divorced in early adulthood, you're likely to have a second divorce in midlife. You're also likely to get divorced if you're more highly educated because both partners would have the economic ability to live on their own without having to worry too much about things like healthcare and things like that. So that increases the likelihood of divorce. Midlifers tend to adjust more easily to a divorce than younger people do when they get divorced. Part of that is you're not fighting over custody for little kids. You're have more practical problem solving, right? You're kind of more level-headed, have more coping strategies available to you. You're less likely to have a really contentious divorce at this time, again, because kids aren't usually involved. It's more of a, let's sit down and make an agreement as to who's going to get what and, shake hands, and that's that. However, no matter when divorce happens, women are more likely to live in poverty afterwards because men do make more money than women pretty much across the board. Women make about 75 to 80 cents to every dollar a man makes in the same job. And because women are more likely to have stayed home to take care of the children and don't have the skills or resources to get jobs that pay well once they no longer have a husband that is supporting them. So that can lead to what we call a feminization of poverty, which is just that if you are a woman, you are much more likely to be poor and to live in poverty than if you're a man. All right, during middle adulthood, we are also likely to become grandparents. By the time they're 60 to 65, most people have at least one grandchild. It usually happens in the early 50s-ish. It really depends, right? If you had your kid when you were 25 and your kid is their kid when they're 25, then you become a grandparent when you're 50. But a lot of people are delaying having kids, so it may be a little bit later when you become a grandparent. You can spend a good chunk of your life being a grandparent, depending on how young you are when you first have your grandkids. Most people love being grandparents. They, think it's great because why isn't it great? Hello, you get to play with babies and have fun, and then you just, when they start to scream or be awful, you just hand them back off to the parents and leave. Grandparenting styles vary a lot. They vary by geography. How close are you? Are you a grandparent that lives across the street and you get to be with the kids all the time? Are you a grandparent that lives 3,000 miles away? How old are you? Younger grandparents tend to spend more time with their grandkids than older grandparents do. Grandmas tend to be more involved than grandpas. Socioeconomic status, lower SES grandparents tend to be usually more involved with their grandkids because they're more likely to live with their grandkids or live very close to their grandchildren. And also, if you are pretty much any ethnicity other than just white, you tend to be more likely to live with your grandchildren because of cultural variations, and so you're around them more. So different trends we see in grandparenting, extended family households where we have, mom, dad, kids, grandma, and grandpa all living together. We're seeing more and more in that, especially as more, diverse cultures come to America. That is the norm of buy a big house and have everyone live there together. A lot of grandparents are raising their grandchildren, and we call that a skip generation family, where for some reason the parents of the child aren't taking care of them. It could be that they've died. It could be that they're imprisoned. It could be that they are, away, and deployed because they're in the military. It may be because they've just, left, abandoned their kids. There's multiple reasons why grandparents are raising a grandchild. So they may be, parents may be drug abusers who can't take care of them. So we do see a lot more of that, in the past few decades than we ever have in the past. And also, there's a likelihood that you're going to cope with the divorce of your grandchildren's parents, right? Of your child getting a divorce and what that means and how that means, you being separated from your grandkids because they're with their mom or their dad, most of the time. And that's not your child. So that's something that you also may have to cope with as a grandparent. A lot of people that are in middle adulthood are what we call the sandwich generation. So this means that you are caring for young children and also caring for aging parents at the same time. So you're sandwiched in between caregiving of your children and caregiving of your parents. whole bunch of things play a factor in this. If you don't have enough money to be able to put your parent into like a care facility, they're going to have to come and be with you, and you have to take care of them. You just can't afford to have someone else take care of them. Are they close to you? Then you're going to be more likely to be taking care of them. If you're a woman, you're more likely to be taking care of your parents, but that's also kind of cultural specific. In some cultures, the oldest male child is responsible for taking care of the parents. In other cultures, it's the female children who are more responsible for taking care of the children. In American culture, women are more likely to be taking care of the parents than a man is. It's very stressful to have to be taking care of your parents while also taking care of kids. You're usually going to spend about the length of a part-time job just taking care of your parents, on top of doing everything else, on top of working your full-time job and taking care of your kids and doing your grocery shopping and the laundry and everything else that you have to do. A lot of times it starts suddenly, like your parents are fine, and then, boom, one of them has a stroke, or, just something, happens, and all of a sudden you're now thrust into being their caregiver. Lots of more work, more costs of having to take care of, these extra people. It's hard to watch your parents declining, right? Because they've been your parents, right? They're your mommy and daddy, and you're watching them, move towards death, and that's difficult. That's hard. And support is needed. You need to have a good social support network when you're doing this. You need to have people you can talk to, and you definitely need to be able to give yourself a break and know, how to do good self-care. All right, so vocation-wise, it is a very important component of satisfaction and self-esteem at this age, right? Enjoying your job, enjoying your career, and what you're doing. People really want to feel like their jobs are meaningful, like they are doing something that has meaning in some way. And as we move through our life and we kind of get to, we kind of move around, we kind of find careers that fit us, we do tend to have increased job satisfaction. And as that increases, so does well-being, so does happiness, so does, just kind of psychological good things happening when you're happy with your job. Because really you're spending a third of your life, at your work. So you want to be doing something that has meaning for you. But we also can experience burnout. I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing burnout right now here as we're moving towards the end of the semester. Burnout's usually a result of long-term job stress. So feeling a lot of overload, and burnout is extremely common in the helping professions. So since the majority of you in this class are moving on to a helping profession, you need to be aware of this, all right? Because people in helping professions work long hours. They have to give a lot. They see a lot of not great stuff, right? They're seeing pain. They're seeing death. They're seeing, not the best parts of people all the time. And it can just really take a toll on you, which can lead to burnout. Mental exhaustion, just feeling like your brain is just gone. Not being able to pay attention as well as you used to. Not being able to remember things. That's usually a key that you're having some burnout. Depression and feeling like you're not really in control of your life, burnout. It can also lead to physical illness because you're stressed out so much, it's taking away from your immune system functioning, making you more likely to get sick. And it can lead to a reduced sense of accomplishment, not having good performance, calling in sick more, losing leaving your job, right? High turnover rates. There's really high turnover rates in a lot of, helping professions because people get burnt out. Finding a place where they, help you with this, that they don't encourage you to keep working to the point where you burn out is very important, right? And just knowing those good self-care routines, especially when you're in helping professions, is very, very important, right? Knowing that you are just as important as your patients are, right? Your life is just as important. So yes, do your job and do the best at your job, but also know that you need to take care of you, all right? And that's true today as many, this week and next week and in school as much as it will be when you're off doing your careers. All right, so who wants a couple more answers from the final exam? I do, Professor Meyer, me. All right, the answer to number 6 on the exam examines relationships between early and later behaviors. The answer to number 7 on the exam is genotype. And the answer to number 8 on the exam is the release and fertilization of 2 ova. All right, there you go. There's your little bit of excitement there for listening to my lecture and learning something, and now you get your little bonus. Thank you to those of you who came and listened to my lecture. We got one more to go next week, and then we're done. Bye.